أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الشيطان يعدكم الفقر ويأمركم بالفحشاء والله يعدكم مغفرة منه وفضلا والله واسع عليم. يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خير كثيرا وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Satan threatens you with poverty and bids you to do conduct unseemly. Allah promises you his forgiveness and bounties, and Allah cares for all and he knoweth all things. He granteth wisdom to whom he pleaseth, and he to whom wisdom is granted receiveth indeed a benefit overflowing. But none will receive admonition but men of understanding. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome to another episode of Islam for Europeans. I'm your host, Robert. And I wanted to talk about the economic situation that we're living in, specifically in the West. Like I know in Canada here, the situation has gotten exponentially worse with each month. Near the end, I'm going to talk about how this relates specifically to converts. But just in general, I think that there's a lot that we can take from this because I don't think anyone could have anticipated such a staggering increase in housing prices, rent prices, food prices, gas prices. We can talk about some of the underlying reasons why this is in the West. I'm specifically talking about Canada. One is that especially here in Ontario, you have a large influx of people coming from all over the world. New people who are either PRs who are getting their Canadian citizenship or refugees, and they're all coming to Toronto en masse. And those numbers keep getting higher every year. And what this has done is this has over the last 5 years, especially shot up the housing prices in Toronto. I remember we were paying for a bachelor apartment in 2017. We were paying about with one parking space, $1,310 a month. I don't think we'll be able to find anything like that in the Toronto area now. The prices have skyrocketed as if the prices in Toronto weren't expensive enough. And, as a result of that, all of these, baby boomers, who lived in Toronto their whole lives, they may have bought their condo or even their house in the general Toronto area for anywhere from like $100,000 to $400,000, back in the 90s or the 80s or 2000, even the 2000s, right? And now those prices have doubled or tripled in some cases, right? So they're selling out. They're just like, I've done my time in Toronto. It's getting unbelievably expensive. So a lot of these boomers have ended up, just moving cities, either to retire or to find work elsewhere. So a lot of them moving to outlying cities that are away from Toronto, like London and Windsor, and Chatham, and like Sudbury. And when in my hometown, rent was, I remember even in the 90s and in the early 2000s, rent was incredibly cheap. Like you could find a one-bedroom apartment for $600. Now I look now and the prices have more than doubled. It's absolutely insane. Housing prices have also shot up because of this whole effect, and there are other reasons as well too. But I think those are some of the main reasons. Like, all I had to do was walk through my neighborhood in my hometown and just see the new neighborhoods that are being built. These, like cookie cutter, postmodern architecture style townhomes that go for like $600,000, $700,000. That's absolute insanity. And there's not even a bus route. I just think just now they had a bus route now, but I was walking through these neighborhoods and I was looking at the license plates, and they said cities in the Greater Toronto area, all the license plates. So these people have moved out of the Toronto area to the and moved to the outlying cities. To them, like this, this doesn't mean anything to them. They can sell a $2 million condo and move out to like a $700,000 house, away from Toronto, away from the hustle and bustle. So This is one of the reasons why, I think young couples today, I don't know how they're going to, survive. And, I recited the ayat about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, shaitan, like he threatens you with, fear of poverty. But, this is a trick of the shaitan. And we're going to look at solutions to this. So, we can actually start building sustainable, convert communities. And the born Muslim sub communities, they do this already. I mean, if you look at any group of Muslims, based on nationality or language or ethnicity, they already have their own organizations. And they look out for one another. Like I had the pleasure of going to the Eid prayer in Mississauga a couple of years ago, and it was done by the Syrian community. So, they absolutely need an organization like the Syrian Canadian Association, because you have Syrians coming in, and they may know family or extended family, and they have this instant connection where they know specifically what their problems are. For us converts, we're so isolated that we really need to start collectivizing and creating like these kind of sustainable little micro communities. First it's occurring on the online world. This the first place that we have to start, but eventually, we want to make this like an actual brick and mortar, style of sub communities where we can help people get acclimated. When they come in, because the mosque they can only do so much. I mean, you think about one of the reasons why we're advocating that converts collectivize is that like mosques, Islamic organizations, they have enough on their plate already. Many of them are running on shoestring budgets. They don't have the time, they don't have the money, they don't have the resources often to help out converts. And like it could something as simple as like letting us crash for like a few nights at the masjid. Some masjids won't even let you do that. They say it's for security reasons. I mean, there are exceptions, of course. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward the masajid and Muslim communities who do help us out. Even though they're incredibly busy, and they a lot of them help us out with free food and lodging and think transportation and things like that. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward them, but they can only do so much. Right. So, we need to take upon ourselves to, be able to, raise a family, inshallah. We would like to see, this whole endeavor be facilitated. Because if you look at, being Muslim, like it does simplify your life, and it makes it a lot easier in many aspects. Like, for example, if you're not drinking alcohol, not only is it terrible for your health, but it's also a money waster. The same thing with drugs like marijuana. I mean, it's incredibly expensive. Smoking, gambling. I mean, these Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made these things haram, and it's great that we have Islam for many reasons. But one of the like the bounties of that is that you're staying away from these things that are not good for you. And like you see families fall apart really, because of gambling or drinking, and it really, like that creates so many problems. So alhamdulillah, like being just a Muslim, a practicing Muslim, has definitely benefits economically. Now there's also challenges, right? So for example, like especially in the West, a lot of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made riba or interest haram for us. So a lot of born Muslims, they don't even follow this. They'll buy like a house to get a mortgage on it. And converts as well too. But if you look at things like just recently until now in Canada, like if you took out a student loan, to go to university, and you would have to pay interest on that. And for years I didn't go to university because I thought, like I'm not. This is interest. This is war against Allah and His Messenger. But the catch-22 of that is, how do you gain skills? So how do you, like get a degree? How do you get into the workforce? And make a living. So you can actually sustain a family. Where you're going to work at a convenience store or a restaurant and make minimum wage for the rest of your life. You can hardly support yourself, especially in this day and age. in that kind of sorry state. So, like we have to start thinking of, practical solutions that, help us save money. Um, if we want to start building these, these micro communities, and, Allah has, placed the burden on us, the responsibility on us men, to support, our wives and our families and things like that. So, um, like a couple of things of advice, and first and foremost, like, as a man, you want to have a good career. And, I think in this day and age, there is a huge dearth, or lack of people and resources available in the trades. And, these are jobs where you make a really good income. You don't have to spend tens of $1,000s on university or college fees. You can start earning right away. After about a year, you start your practicum. So, there's a huge lack of plumbers and electricians and construction workers, forklift drivers, truckers, you name it, foresters, and farm and agriculture. And I think that's why not only the housing prices have gone up, but the agriculture prices have gone up as well here. And they're saying that a lot has to do with, the war in Ukraine, but also the fact that there's a lack of workers who you want to work in these industries. So, I think it's not for everybody, but I think for a lot of brothers, who are just, in their teens, or maybe they're in their early 20s, pursuing a career in the trades, it'll help you avoid interest as much as possible. You gain a valuable work skill, and that work skill is usable, in so many places in the workforce, right? If you do go to college or university, you want to take something where that there's going to be a job waiting for you at the end of the line, right? So, job feels like the arts, social sciences, unless you're going to do your PhD or at least your master's. I mean, it's going to be very difficult to find a job in the field. And university degree has become diluted because there's so many thousands of people, get their university degree. Everybody's got a degree now. So, it's just become this enormous bottleneck. So yeah, Thomas Sowell, like I like, listening to his videos, even though I don't agree with everything he says. He says that, what's the best thing for the Black American community, because he's Black himself, and he said the work skill savings, right? So, work hard, gain skills, and save up your money. So I think that for us converts, I think that's the best thing as well. Like even for myself, like I could have taken French and I wanted to take French as a minor in university. I ended up not taking it, and I really regret that. But I ended up going to Collège Boreal, where the tuition was very cheap, and like it really helped me, improve my French. I kept practicing and practicing. It took a lot of effort, but now, alhamdulillah, I actually have a skill that's actually usable, in the workforce. Right. So, other things like, just not just job skills, but life skills. I think a lot of, kids and teenagers are lacking, they absolutely need. I think, to build sustainable convert communities, we're going to need to gain as many life skills as possible, both men and women. Right. So, like there's so many foods out there. You go to the store and it costs like $5, $6, like salsa, hummus. You can make this stuff at home. I mean, if I know how to make hummus. It took a few tries, but like if you make your own, you can make triple or sometimes quadruple the amount, for the same price that you would have if you bought it store bought. So that's definitely, salsa is another thing. Like like I know how to make salsa now. So you don't have to buy it at the store. It's healthier. Garlic bread with cheese. Even just eating, just the basic fact that you know how to cook at home makes an enormous difference. Because like even the prices of like going out to eat at restaurants has increased. In the last couple of years. Um, you know, um, and I said, for men and women. I mean, women. We're looking at sustainable convert communities. I mean, like even in today, let's just, like put aside the whole convert issue and just young couples in general. I mean, if you're going to have two families that are both in debt, or two, both the husband and the wife that are going to be in school debt, and they're both working full time, that's like you're going to be paying for a very long time. Like I said, rent prices are increasing. So, I mean, you're going to have to sometimes bite the bullet and say, you know what, maybe it should just be one of those of the two spouses that goes, pursues higher education for the time being. Or, I mean, for our sisters, might be a better idea just to learn a job skill instead of going to university. I mean, one of my relatives does taxes. She's a tax specialist, and they didn't have to go to university for that, but like it's a sustainable income. And I understand that for the sisters, they say this a lot. They're like, what if something happens to my husband? How am I going to be able to sustain myself and my family? So it's totally understandable why they want to do that. I'm just saying that, like, don't go to university unless you know it's gonna, or any type of higher education, unless you know that it's gonna pay off at the end. So that's the other thing. I mean, just job skills around the house, like knowing how to fix a leaky faucet, or how to, fix a toilet. You could save yourself hundreds of dollars in plumbing fees. Um, yeah, and then, you know, the whole overarching idea here that we're trying to get, I know we're all talking about like individual or skills as a family, is, like having sustainable micro communities in the same city, or in the same small town. And that might, like, even if you have two convert families, so you have two convert families each with one or two kids each, right? If they live next door to each other or within the same vicinity of one another, like they can babysit each other's kids. Sometimes it's about, like, you can give someone a ride if they need a ride. You don't have to take an Uber. um, like, just having that sense of community. Not only is it important socially because we're social creatures, but it also has really good economic benefits, right? So I mean, I think that's really important. And and then we're talking about young couples and everything, but I know that you have a lot of people converting to Islam. Maybe some of them are joining Islam for Europeans, and not all of them are young couples. Some of them are already married. Some are older, right? So, like, it may come down to how deep you want to go, how deeply you want to go with this. Like, if you have a house, and like maybe it's a better idea to downgrade and get a cheaper house, that's out more in like the county, and like, build like sustainable micro communities on like a farm, right? And I know there's bylaws, when it comes to this, but a lot of religious communities do this. They'll get a farm, out in the county, and they'll build like maybe one or two, like, tiny homes, 100, 200 square feet, and like, they have friends or family, they can live there, like, and then we all have kind of like on a commune, right? um and I know that sounds kind of cultish, but I mean, at this point, I mean, it's, like, we have to look at options because the situation is becoming very untenable, and I don't see it getting any better. And I know it's not just Canada, but it's all across the West, that like the housing prices are just absolutely insane. And we're gonna have to we have to find ways to get creative, really. Um, and it may just be, like, or like, making your house sustainable for two families, and having the other family live in like the basement, right? Just have two separate houses. I know there's bylaws for that as well, but I mean, anything that, that provides options for people. So, and like I said, we don't want to shut ourselves off from the greater Muslim community. I mean, like, everyone meets at the masjid, like Somalis, Arabs, Pakistanis, like they still help each other out. People, they still bring food for potluck, for iftar, and we want to contribute to that as well. But at the same time, like, a lot of Muslims in Muslim communities do want to help out us converts, and they have helped us out. And may Allah reward them for the things that they do. So, but at the end of the day, they're going to go home to their Muslim families, and we usually are going to go home to our non-Muslim families. So I think that's why we really need to stick together as converts, because there's only so much that the masjid can provide. Other things are that, like, you're going to have to, living in such a society where everything is so incredibly expensive, we can't, we can't, obviously, as Muslims, we can't shut ourselves off from our families, right? Like, we can't cut family ties. It's a major sin in Islam. We want to keep our ties of kinship together, and keeping a good relationship with your mom, your dad, your in-laws, your brothers and sisters, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles. That's all really important. And they want to help us out, and many of them want to help us out as well. For a lot of us, it's still our support system, even after we convert to Islam. So definitely maintaining a good relationship with your friends and family. I mean, they want to help us out. They want to see us survive as converts, and they want to see their families survive as well. And I think that's a sentiment that's being held in regard throughout the West, especially when prices have just really shot up. Like it's something that they're willing to help us out with. So, in conclusion, I really think that we need to band together with this, and start creating these sustainable communities of converts. First in the online world, but then eventually want to get it to a point where we feel comfortable having like these kind of like tight knit religious communities, whether it's in a big city or in a small town, or like in a tiny village. So yeah, and I guess may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help all the Muslims. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us, keep us from probably make us successful, and give us his more out of his bounty, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect both us and our progeny. And that's pretty much it. Is pretty much all that I have for today. Please leave some comments in the comment section, because I think this is a very important topic, and without, like, I know that like studying Islam and studying the Sunnah is very important, and all the things we talked about, up until now, have been extremely important as well. But you have to apply it to the real world, and I think in the real world today, it's a situation that's really bad for all of us, and it's going to be very challenging, and we're just going to have to find ways and solutions of meeting those challenges. So so we can support us and our families as well. So that's all the time I have for today. Please like and subscribe to Islam for Europeans. Oh, one more announcement. We are bringing back beef, bacon, and eggs. Every Saturday morning, inshallah, we will have a different interviewee or interviewees. Where we talk about various topics such as this. But I'm your host for today, Robert, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.